Let's talk about more bullshit. Vice President Vice President Kamala Harris made an appearance on Matt Barnes and Steven Jackson's, aka Stack 5's All the Smoke podcast, to publicly reiterate her support for federal legalization. This marks the first time she's actually addressed cannabis legalization since becoming the Democratic presidential nominee. And it should be noted that Harris did not smoke while on the show. And while it may have seemed a little bit performative to some of you guys, you know what? I got nothing. It was.
It was 100% performative.
Chose a bad boy former pro athlete stoner show as the first time to bring it up, like we back in 2016. Plenty of nerds are smoking weed these days, Madam Vice President. And they're doing it out in the open too. White people too. You know what I'm saying? Like, go talk to them. You know, talk about all this stuff to them because they're the ones that are pushing out the message. We have been pro cannabis forever. So why are you preaching to the choir right now? Things have changed since the days of back in the early 80s where you were riding in the back seat of your friend's car while in law school listening to Tupac years before he came out. But I digress. During the interview, Harris stated that people should not be jailed for smoking weed, emphasizing the need to end the criminalization of marijuana use. She clarified that this stance is not new for her, as she had previously sponsored a federal legalization bill while serving as a U.S. Senator. 2024 presidential hopefuls' comments come amid ongoing debates around cannabis reform, and Democratic vice presidential nominee Tim Walz is suggesting that legalization should be left up to individual states. A little bit of a divide there. But the comments she made expressing support for full federal decriminalization do set her apart from the milquetoast attention grab from her opponent, former President Donald Trump, who recently voiced support for rescheduling, not descheduling, and easing restrictions on cannabis banking, despite his previous administration's mixed record on reform. They both flip-flop, y'all. Don't believe either of them. So I guess we have reached the point in the election cycle where they both run out of other shit to talk about because both campaigns are now gaslighting the shit out of us all. Both are using cannabis policy as an, oh, by the way, talking point ahead of the election, with Harris Walz accusing Trump of flip-flopping on the issue and misleading voters about his support for reform. All this while we know there ain't shit happening anytime soon with either of them. The never-ending conversation about legalization will continue on a federal level with no end in sight, and the Department of Health and Human Services recommendation to reschedule to Schedule 3 is still on ice for the time being, thanks to DEA Administrator and hating-ass milligrams delaying any type of action until 2025. So I'm Rico Lamitte, the dopest dad on the street for High 9 News. What do y'all think about this one? Is for me, it's giving Hillary Clinton Breakfast Club pulling hot sauce out the purse vibes. I don't know about y'all.
You took the words out of my mouth, Rico, because I was like, is this show the new Breakfast Club of the West Coast?
Oh man,
that's how it felt like.
If she was really, really serious about this shit, she would have said this shit in front of a all white crowd.
Yep.
In my opinion.
Mm-hmm. Hey Rico, when they're pulling all this cannabis stuff out of their ass that we know they probably don't believe in, who do you think they're pandering to? Do you think it looks like Jason, or you think it looks like us?
You know who it looks like. You know exactly.
Is that when you start singing "They're Not Like Us"?
Yeah, that's when we started thinking like.
She's a cop.
She's a hovio.
She's a prosecutor. She's a former prosecutor. Okay, that's worse than a cop. Just saying.
He's a game show host.
She's a game show host.
He's a game show host.
He's no, he's not. He's a reality star, bro. Stop the cap. Not a game show host.
The Apprentice was a game show.
It was not a game show. It was a reality show, bro.
It was a reality
show. Todd.
Define reality, Jason.
There was no reality.
You don't want me to define reality, Rico, because people are going to start crying.
What is your definition of reality?
You don't want to know that either, Rico.
What is real, Rico?
Yeah, what's your definition of reality?
You know what my definition of reality is. That real?
You're in front of a green screen right now.
That is real.
Adam, cue the Jefferson airplane. Adam, cue the Jefferson airplane.
Oh man.
Oh man.
What do you think, Yarrow?
Yeah.
What do you think? What are you thinking, Yarrow? I see you over there bubbling in the corner.
Here he goes. Don't hurt your ribbies.
You know, it really grinds my gears.
Look. I think I've followed this person's career since before they had a career because they came up in the city that I grew up in. I think this election is about a different issue, as we know. So I'll shut up on that. I think that this idea that people shouldn't be in jail for simple possession and the talking points on both the right and the left need to evolve and mature, because you don't get simple possession unless you get complicated creation. And so the idea that the end user is the only person that should no longer be criminalized instead of thinking about cannabis through the lens of a supply chain is myopic. It's stupid. It's a half-baked idea. It's something that came out of Cody Sanchez's mouth. I mean, literally, it doesn't make any sense to say that people only for simple possession, because there's nothing simple about what happens before simple possession. And so I look to politicians and policymakers to have either a granular understanding or some nuance or some comprehension in how they approach issues that are not simple. And I don't hear that from either of them. I like that she's saying this. I agree with Rico that she's not saying it to a broad enough audience on a big enough stage for me to feel that it's meaningful. I still think it's better than a kick in the teeth, but this doesn't get me excited at all. It's too little. It's too late. It's not enough. And there's like, the other thing also is like, I'm a guy, I like a good plan. I mean, give me a PDF with some bullet points on that. Like, I don't, these are talking points, not bullet points. I don't hear anything in timelines, approach to it. What are we going to do? Like, if she could channel her inner librarian, put on some of them sexy little glasses and be like really policy wonking in her approach to talking about the conversation, the topic, then I would get super excited. But right now, this just feels like she's reading off a 3x5 note card.
No, 100%. Somebody's like, you need to push this. And maybe, to be fair, maybe she does have a plan and we can't understand her because she speaks in gypsy curses and cackles.
That's lies.
Fair enough.
That's lies. Come on, anybody. I got to put the kibosh in.
Hold on.
I got to put the kibosh in
Kibosh, Rico.
Because what
Rico,
the hell?
Hold on.
He's going to gypsy curse me.
No. She on cannabis, she has zero plan. On everything else, she actually does have plans.
She does not have a plan.
And Donald Trump doesn't have a plan about a goddamn thing. So let's stop it right there.
Several good concepts.
Fuck out on every
good concepts.
Speaking of which, I have a question for all of my liberal friends out there. I'm not sure if you guys saw this yesterday, but the author of Project 2025 came out and endorsed Kamala Harris. Did you see this?
Who's that? Who did?
The author of Project 2025.
Wait, I thought there was no 2025. How can there be an author for something that doesn't exist?
So now
you guys just need to let Project 2025 die. Whatever happened to that?
So now whose agenda is it?
Whatever happened to that?
You needed to let the whole obsession with it being something that Donald Trump came up with die, because that narrative has been pushed with absolutely
Nobody said he came up with it.
There was no factual
Donald Trump can't even come up with a perfect order at McDonald's.
One person at a time, guys. You guys cannot continue talking over each other. One person at a time.
Yeah, Jason. Get him, Jason.
Stop. There's no way he came up with that.
Jason said for y'all to hush and let me talk.
That's definitely not what he said.
You have something to say,
I think it was. I do. I mean, and not to say that he came up with it, but you guys wanted to, make it seem like he was the poster child for Project 2025 when there was no factual basis linking him to it. And if you have something, please present me the argument and the evidence, and show me the receipts, and I'll be super happy.
Present the JD evidence, not receipts. Stop the ridiculous. Yarrow, you have
JD Vance, is that the link?
No, that's why Rico's smiling like that.
Exactly.
Rico's
How is he not the link? He wrote the foreword in this thing. He is the link to it. He is your vice presidential nominee. Like what?
Stop the ridiculous.
Come on, y'all.
You're just
let's keep the 98 plus 2 pennies right now. Come on, let's go.
Here's the best part about it all. Look at what it's doing to all of you fools out here.
Yeah.
Right.
Stop all the nonsense, man.
Exactly.
I would rather have Bobby Altoff, whatever her name
Rico, I'd rather have you in there too.
Because I don't want to have to hear her voice.
No, I'm just saying, I would rather her talking to Bobby Altoff and her crowd about cannabis legalization rather than her talking to Matt Barnes. That's just my take on this shit. And I'd rather have Donald Trump talking to somebody real other than butt sniffing Aiden ass Ross and all these other influencers, these Cody Sanchez types. Talk to some real people about some real shit and present some real plans on it, or don't talk about it at all. I'm tired of hearing that shit. Release the fucking prisoners and actually put some pen to paper when it comes to legislation. If not, keep fucking walking.